welcome to our 1 year anniversary. I'm really, really excited. Oh, I needed this chat today. I need this anniversary. Came on a perfect day actually. Hi Alexis.
Hello, and I agree with you. I'm so excited for this chat. I've been reflecting on just like what our experience has been for the last year, and I still can't believe it's been a year already.
I know, right?
Like, I feel like it went like this, and everything we've accomplished, and all the cool topics we've learned about, and I'm so excited. This is just fantastic. And it was thunderstorming out a little while ago, so that also
Ooh,
added to the
that's nice.
charge.
So we were counting how many episodes we had this year and this, full year anniversary. And we figured out that so we're gonna have this is so including this episode and the next episode, right? All together, which we are grouping together as season one, consists of 55 episodes, which includes the bonus episodes, the archive episodes. And so that's a really nice number to complete the season one on.
A
And
100%.
yeah, and when you consider the like divine aspect or spiritual meaning of the number five, that's the number of transformation. It could be in some ways a conflicting number as well, but that with the idea that the conflict comes and it brings forth a transformation. Because if you think about the number four, that's the point of stability, structure, some sort of security, and you feel very grounded, right? And it's very symmetrical, it makes sense. But then you throw in an additional thing and you're like, all right, what am I going to do with this? Like, I have to kind of strategize. And yeah, it does create some sort of instability, but that instability brings forth transformation. And so I thought that was really fitting that we have 55 episodes of this season.
Oh,
So
absolutely. And I 100% agree with that. I mean, we could honestly, the most painful and long enduring transformations have rewarded us with like anyone is rewarded by a tough transformation. And just because there are tribulations doesn't mean that it's not important for that growth. And I just love it. I love that each episode I feel transformed and I grow and learn from each topic. Because even if I know a little bit of it or have the experience of it, the depth I don't always know. So when we go into a conversation on a topic, I am a lot of the times learning a lot of it for the first time, and it's amazing. And I know there have been so many times where, like, as we're researching, we're like, oh my God, this is so cool. I didn't even know this. You got to read this and check this out. And so there's been so much like growth in the mind. And I love that so much. It's fantastic. It's divine.
yeah, I love that you brought up just even the process of like preparing for the episodes, the chats, has we definitely have to do research. And I can see that number five energy coming through with just, we have a new episode every week. And we like to be thorough. We love to give our own experience, of course, but then we also want to couple that with, some interesting facts and other people's experiences and perspectives. And so there is, a good amount of research. And I'm curious for you, what has been like as far as any episodes, and you can tell me this later, so we can discuss this later because I'm putting you on the spot. But as far as research, what episode or episodes you had the most like fun or just insightful experience with researching, like brought forth the most aha moments? So if you don't know right now, we can kind of bookmark that for later, or because I
No,
already
I
know what
mean,
mines are, what mine is.
I love when we talk about like the episodes where we talk about different specialists within the dream space, learning their history and what they're capable of and the movements they were a part of and who they were as people. It's just incredible. and brought a lot of, insight and history to the topic of dreaming, on a personal level. I also really, really loved our Dreaming with the Divine episode with Mamu, learning about that, even though that episode, the topic of Mamu is like small, like there's not a whole lot of information. But even with the minimal information that is out there, it still opened my eyes just to how long dreaming has been a huge part of society.
Yeah.
And I just, honestly, all of the episodes have brought forth so much knowledge that has expanded my threshold for understanding the dream space. But yeah, I can go on, but I would say those are definitely my top
Yeah,
few.
Mamu was interesting, and I really love that we chose Mamu. So if you all aren't familiar, definitely check that episode out. What can you tell us what number it is? Because I know you have the whole
Oh,
list.
yeah, so it's called Dreaming with the Divine, and it's episode 33.
Yeah. Oh, look at that! All of these divine numbers coming up. I didn't even plan that.
I didn't
Yeah.
even
So
see it. I didn't even see it.
yeah,
I read it out loud and then you reacted and I was like, "Oh my God."
that's awesome. Yeah. So I really loved learning about Mamu, who is a Mesopotamian goddess of dreams, of the night, of the moon. She is a like a divine messenger. Like the focus for her was that she brought the messages, the oracles through the dreams. And so in that episode, we share an invocation to connect with her. We share like a little bit of a ritual, and of course, her back history. And I really love that we chose her to begin that series as far as Dreaming with the Divine, because we're definitely going to talk about many like dream gods and goddesses and of the sleeping realm. And that was one I didn't know, because we could definitely talk about Morpheus, I know of, and the moon goddesses such as Selene and so forth. But I really love that we chose that goddess, because yeah, we did learn a lot. And there was only like a little bit, but there was so much that came forth just from the small amount of information that we came across, and just also just intuitively connecting with her energy. So I really enjoyed that. I would say that my favorite episodes to research have been the dream symbols, but specifically the
Oh, yes.
I love, because what it really does. One, it's a deeper connection to nature, and it is essentially like I learn about their behavior, because that's what I'm drawn to, just their instinctual nature. Because in dreams it said that animals represent our instinctual, like some sort of instinctual aspect of that symbol of that animal is something that we are being encouraged to embody, or maybe we have too much of that and we need to balance the energy. And so I really enjoyed researching those dream symbols. And it's like I get stuck with animals. Like every time we're talking about, what dream symbols are we gonna pick this time? I like my mind goes to animals. And I know we keep it, we brought it up. We have a couple episodes involving, non-animal dream symbols, but that definitely has been my favorite to research.
I love that. And, like you said, understanding the behavior and the nature of how they are. And it really brings out a better understanding of yourself and how everything is reflected in ourselves. Everything. I mean, even the non-animal dreams, like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, portals or doors or cars, like these are
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
reflections of our inner landscape. And it's always so interesting to see how it comes through in the individual dream. I mean, you and I have had dreams with the same symbol that are couldn't be more different.
Yeah.
Like the experience couldn't be more different. And I love that. I love how dynamic our brains are and our experiences are. And I actually agree with you. I kept the symbols out of my like episode pick because there were so many.
Yeah.
But honestly, as a whole, I love researching all the
Yeah, it's
symbolism.
it's
It's
it's hard to
so
pick
much
one. It's
fun.
it's really hard to pick one. So with that said, that was a little bit of the intro, and I definitely want to speak on the energy right now that we're in,
Yes.
as well as we have just one announcement tonight. And with that said, I want to give you just an idea of what we're going to discuss in this episode, as it is our anniversary. And Julia is here in the chat and says, "Congrats on 1 year." Thank you,
Thank
Julia, so
you.
much. So we are going to also talk about the energy that basically the astrology that we picked to launch the podcast, because as we said in a previous episode, astrologers, I'm a professional astrologer, and I know that we tend to shy away from, eclipse energy essentially, right? Which is, you know, just to give it away now, like our launch date was the day of a Pisces lunar eclipse, right? So we'll talk more about that. We'll talk more about the energy around our very first live chat. And then we are going to share our favorite episodes and then just see how the conversation goes. So do you want to share just the quick announcements that we have as far as Dreamy goes, and then I'll share the
Yeah,
astrology? Okay.
absolutely. So, if you guys don't know already, Urania and I work with a developing dream app called Dreamigos. That's Dreamigos. It is a recording app for your dreams. You can keep your recorded dreams private, or you have the option to add them to a community dream line. So, this gives you an opportunity to have your dreams interpreted or get guidance from dream experts like Urania and myself. You can get this app on the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. And one of the cool things that comes along with downloading this app is your opportunity to join our monthly free dream circle. Our next one is September 30th. Right? Is it 30? Okay.
Yep.
So
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'm pretty sure it's the
It's
30th.
upcoming
So
Tuesday. Yeah.
September 30th on Tuesday at 8 p.m. So if you're interested, go download the app, sign up, and join us.
And Alexis forgot to mention that she's actually
I am.
co-hosting this dream circle, and they're going to be talking about lucid dreams. So definitely come
Yes.
hang with us. This is going to be a really good dream circle.
Thank you for that
So
reminder. I don't know why I
yeah,
forgot.
yeah. So the energy, oh my gosh, the energy right now. How the hell are you guys doing? I am I'm hanging in there. This eclipse season, this eclipse portal has been really controversial for me in so many ways. Very, very high highs, very, very low lows, and everything in between. I plan on sharing my story because the way, just my recurring dream symbol, which is a car, plays a significant role in this eclipse portal, specifically in my waking life. And so, but like as far as my dream series, and this being like a prominent dream symbol, the car, it goes all the way back to a couple years ago, that led me onto this whole spiritual journey and transformation, or deeper into that. And I just, you just can't make this up. So I'm going to be very cryptic about it, because I'm going to talk about it a little bit later once we are at the end of the eclipse season. Because I have a feeling that everything's going to tie up really nicely, which the eclipse is actually this weekend, on Sunday, the 21st. So we have another Virgo full moon, or Virgo new moon, just before the equinox. And it's a new moon solar eclipse. So I mean, again, you can't really make this up. And that's all I really need to say. Like, of course, pay attention to your dreams. I'm sure they're hard to ignore at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the eclipse portal, is essentially the time where we have like the most intense dreams. And, unless that your life is really, really busy. But for me, it hasn't even mattered. It's been showing up in my dreams and in my sleep, and it's been really high and it's been really low and intense. So, I'm hanging in there. So I'm sending you all the love in this portal. And this is always a safe space to come and connect with us, and on our Instagram, as well as, you can send us an email on the Innververse podcast. Innververse, yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
Innververse
Yep.
podcast at gmail.com. I can never remember that. It's in the description of this video. So definitely connect with us.
Yeah, the energy has been absolutely insane. I absolutely can feel that competing up and down. I've definitely been experiencing that the last several weeks. And It's sometimes it's the same day. Sometimes it's the same day. Like you're riding high and then boom down. Like and then boom back up. And it's just been really chaotic and hectic and hard to stabilize, as you said. So I am really, really looking forward to post eclipse. I
You know
am
what? Like
really looking forward to
as
post
of
eclipse.
what was it? Yesterday, I felt that I was in the clear, and yeah, it's very clear that I'm not. So I'm
It's
still like in the weeds
crazy.
and shit. Like, so that'll be a share at some point here too, because my dreams probably next week when my dream when we have the dark moon dream reflection.
Right.
Um,
I have some
so
pretty
yeah, I'll definitely share a
crazy
lot on that because we'll be outside of
dreams.
that
Yeah.
eclipse energy and it'll be the integration and so forth. So yeah, definitely hang out with us. Come live with us, share in the chat. You know, you can email us your stories or anything you want to share. And we'd be happy to connect with you. So I want to share the chart that we used, that we picked for the launch of our podcast. And this really, I feel definitely showcases our intention. And I'm going to share my screen. So for those of you who, you know, speak the language of astrology, definitely check it out. Or, you know, whoever wants to check it out, check out the screen here, the video, as I have our chart. This is our launch date, which was September 17, 2024, 1:11 p.m. Eastern time. I use my location, Syracuse, New York. Alexis is like 3 hours from me, so it's pretty much the same. It's the same ascendant.
Yeah,
We're
it's
very
pretty
close,
the
so it's
same.
the same. So this was, let me also say, this wasn't when we had our first live chat, which I have
No,
another
no,
chart
no.
for, but this was when we announced our podcast and we had pre-recorded our first episode, which was What Are Dreams, and we released
Yep.
the all of that, the trailer, the episode, and so it worked out so nicely for that 1:11 time frame. So I was really happy about that.
It was a really this was such an exciting moment too, because I remember when we were trying to figure out when exactly to post, you had like a couple different ideas up. And we ultimately ended up going with this one. And I'm really happy that we did, because I just felt like it was a great kickoff for this creation. Like it just, and I mentioned this when we first looked at it, but the Neptune, the moon, and the Saturn all in Pisces, it just like 100%.
Yeah. So if you're looking at the screen here at the bottom of this chart in the fourth house, we have the moon in Pisces. And again, this was the day of the lunar eclipse. I'm pretty sure, I should have double checked, but I'm pretty sure that the eclipse hadn't peaked yet, like it hadn't had its exact moment. So it was probably the build into it. Let me see. Yeah, it definitely was a build into it. And so this essentially um having the moon basically sandwiched between Saturn and Neptune is like literally in between realms. We have Saturn
Yes.
that is very physical, practical, grounded, structured. And then we have Neptune that completely dissolves any type of structure, boundaries. It just dissolves everything. And it really brings about this questioning of what's really real. And so many of us know that Neptune, you know, corresponds to the dream realm, to spirituality, but, you know, to this like nebulous energy. And so to have the moon like sandwiched in between both of those elements, those archetypes in Pisces on an eclipse, like really, like we
It's
were definitely doing a lot.
perfection.
It's
It
so
was
perfect.
perfection, because again, that liminal space relates directly to the dream space. That is the liminal space, and to have the chart represent that is just, it's divine. It's
I love it.
fantastic.
And both Saturn, I'm looking at it now because they're both red. So that means that Saturn and Neptune were also retrograde, right? And so that
Yep.
retrograde influence is directed internally. And for us, for our location, which matters most because we're the ones, you know, launching this podcast,
Right.
it was in the fourth house, which that area of life is the subterranean, right? It
Yep.
is what is going on beneath. It corresponds to the subconscious. And so, that, I mean, it was, I mean, it was so perfect.
It's perfect. And like I said, it really set course for what the year was going to bring. And I love that so much. And all the dreams too that we've had in the last year, it blows my mind. Like
Mm-hmm.
thinking about all of the dreams we've shared, all of our personal dreams, all of the new dreams we had for each of the dark moons. It's just like, I love it. Even from when we launched to now, in its sense, that season is a liminal space.
Yeah. So looking at the sun here in Virgo. So Virgo is really important to Alexis and I as well, because we both share, our chart mapping in the sense that we're both Scorpio risings,
Mhm.
and we both happen to have our MC in Virgo as far as like the whole sign chart, right? So or no, I shouldn't say the whole sign chart. That's more positive. Sorry guys. But anyway, our midheaven is in Virgo, right?
Right.
So, yeah, that was like a perfect lineup. So we have the midheaven here in Virgo next to the sun. We also have Mercury, which again, this is a bit of a astrology taboo of having Mercury so close to the sun, especially like when you're doing a podcast,
Yep.
because the sun essentially overpowers Mercury, or if it's any planet that they say is within 8 degrees. So technically, we were right on the cusp, because the sun's at 25 degrees and Mercury's at 14 degrees. So that's about 9 degrees, right? So we're just, again, like pretty much in the in between. Like we're right on the cusp of it, the boundary. But basically, what it said is when a planet is that close to the sun, it's really hard to connect and access that planet's its qualities, its purpose, which is, this is a really risky maneuver here to pick, but it makes so much sense because, again, we're mostly connecting with the dream space. And so the way I would read that as an astrologer, like if that was in someone's chart, I would guide them to pay attention to their intuition and pay attention to their internal dialogue, and let that guide you as far as like when it comes to expression and communication. And that's a big part of our podcast as well, is that
Absolutely.
intuition is like listening to the subconscious or the unconscious mind, right? And receiving from that space. And so we're sharing from that space.
Absolutely. I love that description of it. That was fantastic. I just like I said, this chart was perfect for the launch and I have no regrets about anything that we've done. Like I just everything has been such flow. Like we've had such a flow. Everything has come so naturally. Even when we do our research for the episodes, like that's a lot of work, but it just flows so nicely and it really shows how I mean I feel like that's what this chart had done for us.
Yeah, I definitely agree. There's more too, but I want to answer Julia's question. So Julia asked, did we both choose this time on purpose or by coincidence? So we both chose this time. I
Yep.
presented maybe like two or three options, and this is what we went with. But we knew that there was an eclipse coming up, and we both simultaneously were like a yes for it.
100%.
Yeah, like we're like, we have to do it, and especially because we wanted it to be launched in September. So yeah, there was that. And yeah, so another thing I want to point out, and I'm just going to briefly fly through these, and of course Alexis, you definitely give your insight. So when we're looking at the like a house here, so what I want to point out, the ninth house, it's empty. This is the place of dreams, right? This is the place of communing with a higher source of power or higher intelligence, and doing activities that expand your consciousness. So we have dreams that correspond to the ninth house, astrology, divination, anything that connects you to thinking outside of the box or connecting to our higher power, right? And so what I love here, and I'm sure I looked at this, of course, but I like reminded myself when I was taking notes that I was like, yes, the sun rules Leo. And so this area of life is also activated by the sun over here, as the sun is emphasized in this chart with the eclipse. Therefore, it is, bringing in the ninth house is what I'm saying. So the ninth house of dreams is in there as well. Like
Yeah,
indirectly.
100%. It's shining its light.
Yes, exactly. And it's doing it in an amazing way of like with Virgo. So that structure and just being able to even really get a keen insight to what's going on on an internal system. So, and looking at all the details. And so I think that's really helpful for us when it comes to the podcast and like the topics
Absolutely.
that we talk about. So peeling back the layers.
And when you see an empty house in astrology, now I could be wrong. I'm not I'm not even close to like knowing a whole lot of it. But when a house is empty, does that mean that um things just kind of come and flow a little easier in that house, in that sign? Like
It depends
there's no
on.
difficulties in that?
Well, no, I wouldn't say that. It depends on, so you want to, if there's a empty house, to get more insight of what's going on there, you want to look at the ruler, so the planetary ruler. And then the position of that planet, or say sun or moon, the ruler will give you an idea of how well that area of life is functioning. So with
Right.
the sun
Okay.
in Virgo, I mean, that's fine. It's nothing like really like bad about the sun in Virgo. Like it's not
No.
debilitated, basically, is what we will call it. I mean, it is amplified and charged up with this eclipse.
Of
So, if this was someone's birth chart, you would definitely take in that eclipse energy in consideration to their dreams, the way they express themselves, their creativity, and so forth. But that's a great question.
Thank you. Because I've been questioning it for a while in my head, and I never verbalized it. So when we were sitting here, I'm like, this is a really good, I feel like this is a good opportunity to kind of learn a little bit about this aspect too, because I mean, the more the merrier when it comes to knowledge.
Right. And it's like a good way, if you want to be less technical about it, a good thing to ask yourself is like, okay, is the sun happy in Virgo? Like on its, like isolating it that way.
Right.
And then you start to factor in, all the connections that are being made with the sun, right? So we know Mercury is very close. The sun is, essentially at this point, it's at the highest point in the sky, being here at the MC. So it's like the sun does love being high in the sky. So as far as like its
Mhm.
placement in the sky is really nice. However, we have this intensity, with intense connection with the moon that's going through its, situation here with Saturn and
Right.
Neptune. So that's how you can get an idea of like, okay, so how would this impact this area of life?
That's
So yeah.
absolutely. Thank you.
So we're going to work another example here with
Yep.
the ascendant, as that's important, especially when you're picking like a time to like launch something, or specific astrological timing for whatever you're doing. You want to pay attention to the sign on the ascendant and the ruler of that, the planetary ruler of that sign. And so we have Sag here, and just as an archetype, Sag is the seeker, the explorer. It also is like the sage, and it corresponds to wanting to learn and expand consciousness and go on adventure. So that was a good, I mean, everything just lined up so perfectly, right? And then looking at Jupiter was over here in Gemini at this time, which is, I mean, yes, it's in what we would call its exile. So it's in its opposite home, like the opposite place of its home in Jupiter, or sorry, in Sagittarius. Um, but nonetheless, I thought this was significant because it's in Gemini. So it's getting a different perspective. It's getting many
Yep.
perspectives. It's in the area of life that pertains to partnerships, meetings, engagements, and so forth, relationships. And so expanding on different perspectives. And so again, like this was very well, divine timing,
Yes.
what I have here.
This could not be more perfect. It is it's the podcast. It's Journey Through the
Yeah.
Innververse.
And one last thing I want to throw in here is that this really supports our own astrology, in the sense that, as I mentioned, Alexis and I share Scorpio rising. And so this is very passion driven, peeling back the layers, very internal, internal discovery is amplified here. And we both seek to share our passion, which is what, a big part of our intention. And also I like with the, let's see, what was I pointing to? Just even the idea I feel of building a community of dreamers, right? In this seventh
Yeah.
house energy here, it's very Aquarius. So I'm an Aquarius sun. Alexis is an Aquarius moon.
Yep.
And I would say that building aspect for me would be the Capricorn moon. And then with you, the Libra, I feel is again with that like community aspect there and coming in and bringing balance to, the extremes of the internal and the external and, the different realms. So it works so nicely.
Absolutely. No, it works beautifully. I mean, I am so proud of this podcast. I can't even explain it in words. Like, I'm so excited for what's to come. I'm so proud of everything we've done. I'm so excited that, like, looking back, not even realizing that we had 55 total episodes for the season. And,
Yeah.
like, it
And
just,
there's so
it's,
much more to talk about.
there's so much, I mean, we have a list and there's so much to add to the list and the list isn't even done. Like, it's ever expansive and I'm so excited and the people we've met along the way and I'm excited. I'm grateful. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And thank you everyone for listening. We don't regret this decision. This has been such an amazing experience to share our passion and to dive deeper into it and to share it with others and just to build this community of dreamers because I think that, well, I don't think, I know that we saw the void, when it comes to what we've been sharing here as far as dreams, spirituality, tarot, and all of that. There's really not a podcast that really includes dreams. We both have looked for that. And so it naturally just fills that void. I mean, of course, there's, so many more. And actually, we've learned of other podcasts now
Yep.
in reference to dreams, and we've been collaborating with them as well. And so it really, it's building a network and a community of, dreaming.
Absolutely. I mean, and there are so many wonderful dream podcasts that we've discovered along the way. And, I'm just glad that we were able to provide a space where there was
Yeah.
none prior. Like, I love what we talk about. I love experiencing like the dream space because it's ongoing. It's a roller coaster. It's up and down. Some nights you remember, some nights you don't, but it's consistent nonetheless. And the more dreams I've had and have shared with you and shared with the podcast and gotten feedback from you and other people, and I've been learning more about myself than I ever have in my life from this 1 year.
Yeah. No, I feel the same, and I'm at a loss for words when it comes to this whole experience. It's been something I've always been excited to do, and it's never been a chore. And I've been, what's really interesting is, when you pick an astrology, like an astrological date to launch something, you're essentially basically harnessing that energy, right? Into you're channeling that energy into your project and your intentions and your desire for success or how you want it to unfold. And what's been really interesting is that, especially when we first really started the podcast, the full moons really, I mean, the new and the full moons, but definitely the full moons, like something was going down where it's like, oh, we gotta share an archive chat, or like there's
Oh,
technical
yeah.
difficulties. So I definitely felt like that disruptive energy of the eclipse, because that's one of the, the qualities of eclipse energy or portal, is that it is a moment of disruption, but it's also a moment of divine alignment, because you really only experience an eclipse when the sun, the moon, and earth are in a like pretty much exact alignment to have that experience of an
Yep.
eclipse. So we've definitely had both, or and all of that, right? When it came to like the lunar cycle and our podcast and even our dream space and what's been going on. So yeah, it's been an interesting ride. And so I want to ask you, what is your favorite episode for this season?
So, okay, before we even got on chat, like, hours before I thought I knew what I was going to choose. And then I was looking at all the episodes and it was bringing me
It's really
back
hard.
to all the episodes. And it's really, really hard for me to choose one. But, um, so I think one of my favorite ones we've ever done, was Deja Vu in Dreams. I thought that was a
Ooh.
really, really interesting
Yeah,
topic.
that one's really interesting.
I loved reflecting on our own experiences with it. I loved learning about it. And I love that it's not really a like there's no true explanation for it
Yeah.
yet. Like it's like dreaming. It's kind of all over the board and there's so many different theories and in regards to dreams and how they connect, I loved that episode. Um and I do have a lot of episodes that I would equal as being just as good.
You
So
gotta pick one.
this is
You
so hard.
Libra. You gotta pick. You
I
gotta pick.
know this is gonna take
So
me
does that
out.
not count? Is
This
that
is
not
gonna
the
be it. um okay,
if you had to pick one,
I'm gonna okay. I
you want me to
loved our
go? You want me to
visitation
go?
dreams.
Well, no, because I'll distract you. You won't be able to choose. Do, 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 do. I'll let you
Um
pick one and then you get the runner up. You get first, second, third place. So you can have three, but you gotta like, you know,
okay. Um I loved our Carl
pressure.
Jung episode.
Mm-hmm. So that would
Um
be which well, oh, the one about the dreaming self. Or was
yes.
this okay.
Um I mean, the alchemize
Well,
your dreams into art was fantastic too. It
so I'm
see,
gonna
okay.
say that was my favorite. So my favorite was it wasn't easy, but after like a couple days, I felt like I could commit because I loved all the episodes, of course. And what I loved about alchemizing dreams into art was something that I wouldn't say I have minimal experience, and it's a place of challenge because I definitely don't consider myself an artist, although yes, I know I can be creative and we all can be, but when it comes to my relationship with creating art, like I love the thought of it and even like the feeling when I do it, because every so often I'll get out pastels or like even markers or color or anything like that. But there's always this strong amount of judgment that comes forth, because I'm like, oh, this looks like, something a child would do, which is that's kind of mean to say because some children are like, they can be incredible artists, but like
Hmm.
basically it just doesn't look good to me. And I'm like, this looks messy. There's nothing. And that episode really inspired me to not only, draw, like, not only to express my dreams in art, but also to take art classes at some point because I remember when I took an art class, it was either in high school or middle school. I think it was high school. I had like a lot of fun with it. I didn't have like my patience was really bad because it's like, Capricorn wants to be the perfectionist, however, I did enjoy it. And so I know if I was to take some lessons, I think that would really help boost my confidence just because I'm like, okay, I have a structure. Because for me, when it comes to, translating what I'm seeing in my mind and onto paper, like I get completely overwhelmed. And it's not just like drawing, it could be with digital art too. If I'm trying to create something, or even to describe it in words to say like AI is really hard for me. And so I think when if I get, some structure around what I am, like just the basics, like my Capricorn will definitely feel good with that. And I think like with more practice, like that confidence will build. And
Mhm.
so again, that episode just really helped me to, you know, feel good about that. And also just even learning Carl Jung, like, I didn't know he was an artist until we
Mm-mm.
did the previous episode. So and I think I heard in passing, but I didn't really like it, didn't really like land until again we were researching. And I was just like, and then I looked at his art and I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, this is totally unexpected. And I was like, oh my gosh. So that was definitely my favorite episode for sure.
I love that so much. I First of all, I'm so excited that it triggered like the excitement to be more creative and not feel so like you're still going to feel I everybody feels judgment on themselves when it comes to doing art, and skill will help with that, but it still comes with a lot of grace, like learning and then also existing in the space of like you know how to do it, but there's still so much there's so much harshness that can be cast down upon it from ourselves. So like acknowledging the judgment as being one of the things that kind of holds people back. I mean, that's really important because in order to you have to remember, and this is for everyone, what you're creating from your head, whether it's good or bad, is creation. Like it is magic. What you're
Yeah.
doing to
So
take
then I
this,
want to judge myself about what I'm,
yeah,
but
it's like
no, you're
it's
right.
like the skill will bring you where you want to be. Learning different techniques and stuff, it's going to bring you to where you want to be, but you have to remember that you can't be judgmental of what a bit like what your inner visuals are like. I
Yeah.
definitely I still feel that, and the only reason I'm
Yeah.
bringing that up is because for people who are just beginning again, like don't be so harsh on yourself, don't be so harsh on yourself because it's going to take away the joy. And
Yeah.
I
Magic.
when
Yeah.
you've shown me your the pastels you did of your dream space, it may not have been like the best thing I've ever seen. However, the energy and the feeling of the dream translated through better than any of the AI I've seen.
Yeah.
Like it
Oh, well,
just
yeah. Like when we were comparing it to the AI, like what I drew and then the AI ones, and even me seeing it in like together, because when I did the pastels, it was before, and I think Anna was after the AI.
mhm.
But so when I was thinking about what I was getting on AI, I was like, okay, this is cool. I like this. But then seeing it all together, I was like, oh yeah, no, I definitely prefer, my own, even though I'm like, this looks like a hot mess, but
But that's really important because the AI has the skill, but it doesn't have the energy. And
yeah,
the only
yeah,
reason I'm not trying to deter people
no,
from
you,
doing what they want to do, but it's true. Like you don't get the soul and the energy from from AI despite it having the skill. And I think that's a good thing to acknowledge when you're learning to do art and enhancing those techniques.
so I want to shout out Julia. Julia's an artist. I know Julia. Yeah, so we've connected online. But Julia's an artist. And so, Julia, if you're referring to this episode, because she says, I'm going to check that episode out. Thank you. It's episode 40. And I
Yes.
recommend anyone who wants to watch this episode, if you haven't watched it yet, I recommend watching the video version. So you can watch the video version on Spotify, and you can watch it on our YouTube channel. So it'll be under the live tab. But we share, on screen, we share our arts from dreams that we've had. We definitely talk about AI art,
Hmm.
because I had a few, and so that was definitely a conversation. And we also shared Carl Jung's artwork from his dreams and just whatever he was going through within the whole journey of dreams, and diving into the unconscious and the messages he was receiving about the collective unconsciousness. We share some images, some of his art on screen too. So definitely check out the video version. Julie also says, Urania, for some reason, I feel like you'd be a great artist, especially as a dreamer.
100%. I
Yeah,
100% agree.
I need some
A hundred
structure. I
percent
need
agree.
some teaching.
I'll teach you. I'll send you lessons.
Yes. Julia, you should definitely check out Alexis online, because her artwork is amazing. It's really cool. And
Thank
it
you.
immediately sucks you into the dream space, like this whole realm. Very Aquarian, and Scorpio too, for sure.
Thank you so much.
And then Julia says also it's a synchronicity. You're talking about this because I'm painting while listening to this
Oh,
episode.
I
So that's
love that.
awesome.
Oh,
Yes.
if you if you want at any point to share what you
Yeah, we
are
would love to.
painting, or when it's finished, if you want to share what you painted during the episode,
Yes.
I would love that. That sounds
Yeah, that would
amazing.
be such a treat. We wouldn't have to share it publicly, but we can, yeah, we would love to see. I'll put Alexis's Instagram in the chat. But yeah, so that now that I'm talking about it again, I'm just like, I need to take your advice to Alexis classes just from YouTube, like for
Right.
free. Because I've been looking for classes around here, but of course, like with my schedule, it's like, when am I going to do it? How am I going to carve out time? Because I've been so busy. But it's easier, I know I can start with some online classes. So I'm going to do that.
Well, and if anybody else is looking to start learning more techniques when it comes to art, to just be able to translate what you're seeing visually, I recommend one. Um, there are free um, modeling sites where like there's a bunch of photos of people doing, figure modeling. Or you can go on Pinterest or Google. Even if you just go to Google and you type in like, standing man or leaning woman, or something where they're like doing something,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know
Yeah.
practice seeing what you're seeing on the screen and drawing it. It will take time, but that's going to help you in that aspect. And then also just learning depth is really important, and perspective. And of course, you can go from there for a bunch of different things, but I highly recommend those to begin for sure. I should do classes. I really,
Yeah.
if I feel like I
Add
should
that to the
teach art
list.
classes. Um, but that
Dream circles, art classes. I
dream
mean,
circle
that
art class
sounds like the life, to be honest. That sounds
does.
amazing.
But I'm so excited, and that was such an incredible episode. I mean, both because that was kind of a two-part, because we did the deep dive on Carl Jung and his
Mhm.
life, and what he was such a fascinating person. And the fact that he did art and seeing his art and
Yeah.
having a better understanding of his internal landscape and what he experienced from 100 years ago.
It
I
still
mean,
hits. It still lands. And what's really interesting, as we were talking about just the judgment that we might have about ourselves, our arts, and just being an artist, he also had that same feeling in his own way, because his artwork didn't come, like, it wasn't public until, wasn't it like not 100 years, no, what, it was
I
after,
think it
no,
was
not
after
100.
he passed
Yeah, I think
away.
it was like
The
it was
Red
after he
Book was
passed away.
published
It
after
may
he
have
passed
been
away.
like, there were decades. I
Yeah,
don't, it
10 or
wasn't
20
100
years.
years
It
because
wasn't crazy, no.
no, I think it was like 10, 20 years, because he hasn't been dead for 100 years.
Yeah.
So don't listen to that. But it's been
Right.
like 1 or 2 decades, right?
Mhm.
But he didn't want to share his art because he didn't really want to, one, he didn't want to be seen as an artist, and more so because of the serious nature of, like, of course, the community of like psychology or psychiatry, which was what he was practicing. And so that was a very personal passion for him. And what I liked and I really connected with Carl Jung was that he reminded me of myself, and Julia, you'll love this too. He basically kept journals. So the Red Book is a collection. Well, it was the Black Book first, and then it became the Red Book when he, like, I guess, consolidated it in a way. But basically, it was a collection of his journals of his journey through his, spiritual transformation through his work, and interspersed within the journals was his art, right? And he was receiving, and I'm getting goosebumps even saying this, like, he was receiving these visuals through his dream space, and some of even the stories and things that were coming out was like happening in waking life, because I think it was in that episode of alchemizing dreams into art. I read a part of it, was like pretty much the end of the Red Book, and I remember reading it and I was like, no, so this happened in waking life. And Alexis was like, wait, what? Like it was crazy that, so you'll have
Yeah.
to watch that episode to learn of that experience that he shared. But yeah, he was really he was navigating a lot, and it was really cool to see his art because personally it was not what I was expecting. And he was such a great artist. I look at it and I'm just like, oh, you should have shared this. But again, I also know that there's a lot of vulnerability in that, and it's like it's very personal. You don't have to share,
Oh,
so
it is very personal. And I've talked to you about this. Like, I have an art show coming up, and I put all of my art in a college, and I feel naked. I feel completely naked. Like, even though I'm not here, like I'm not there to like hear what people are saying, or if they even look at it or whatever. I'm not there, but my soul is. Like, each piece I
yeah,
create is a part of my soul. And so having my soul essentially out in the public for anyone to perceive, no matter what that will be, whether it's good, bad, neutral, is horrifying. And I mean, I completely understand where Carl Jung would be in deciding not to publish that, because even choosing to do an art show, and that's just for a small amount of people. Like, I don't, it's not like there are hundreds of people coming to my shows, but even just having like the amount of people come to my shows that do is a lot. It's a lot of vulnerability, especially for someone who's not very good with vulnerability. So for something to be
yeah,
published for thousands, millions of people to, you know, digest, look at, cast judgment, you know, find joy from it, it's so vulnerable.
yeah. So, with that said, we are coming close to the top of the hour. Did you want to dive into an episode? Were you able to choose, or how do you feel?
So I I I'm frustrated because as you went through all of them, you were like, "Oh, this is definitely it." And as I was going through all of them, I was like, "Oh, our energies are so different from episode to episode in like how we're showing up and how we
Yeah.
appear and like our excitement for each topic." So it is difficult like after going through a lot of them. But I do have to say that I really really loved our episode, our two-part episode on nightmares.
Mhm. Yeah, that
Nightmares are
was
an
good.
incredibly important topic to discuss, and it's one that most dreamers try to stay away from because it can be incredibly difficult. I mean, a nightmare is a nightmare. It's trauma inducing, and learning about the like how important, like we already knew that nightmares were important, but being able to talk about it and putting out there for people to understand how important nightmares are and how to face them and how to move through them, and how to break down different aspects of the nightmare and how it leads to more growth and more reflection than what your normal nightmare or normal dreams would bring, and to not be afraid of them and to face them and dissect them, I thought was such an important thing to an important episode to get out there. And I love how we go about talking about the topics and our own nightmares. I mean, I
Yeah.
remember the night, like I didn't even watch the full episode, but I remember the nightmare that I had that I
Yeah.
expressed on the episode, and I
Yeah.
remember how it affected me, and I remembered how different my reaction to that nightmare was from nightmares I had previously because
Mhm.
of where I was in my life and my understanding of dreams.
Yeah.
And I think when it comes to the intensity and the trauma that comes with a nightmare, it can actually push more people astray from themselves. But what it means is the opposite. It is a exclamation mark. It is a highlight. It is a you have been avoiding this for too long. If you do not start changing, things are not going to be, the the way you'd like them to be. Things are going to get harder because you're avoiding something that's important, whether it's in the waking space, like, you know, the conscious, or it's in the unconscious, like aspects of yourself that you may have been neglecting, like mentally, emotionally, spiritually, or your physical body. You know, your
So that's the
physical
main one.
body will give you indicators within your dream space that it needs attention.
Mm-hmm.
And it will come through in nightmares if you're not acknowledging it the way that you need to acknowledge it. And I loved that episode. And even looking at the way that because I've had maybe one nightmare since that episode, and thinking about the way that I reacted in waking up from it
Mm-hmm.
rather than going into a panic. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you wake up with the feeling, but just, you know, it was maybe the other day because things have been a little intense. I had one. And I woke up and I knew I had a nightmare and I knew that it was intense. And I just reminded myself that it, like everything was fine, and I went right to sleep. And I like didn't I wasn't like anxious, because a lot of the times what happens is you're kind of anxious and awake and you can't get back to sleep because you don't want to go back into that dream. Like that has happened countless times, but just the evolution of learning about it and moving through them and growing and doing all you need to do through the experience. And I love those episodes.
Yeah, that was definitely a well, like it was very needed, pretty much.
Hmm.
I have a lot of experience with, I mean, more with anxious dreams, which we have an episode about that too.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, nightmares have been, yeah, I mean, they're a lot, and I definitely experienced them. Um, and when I taught, like, I've been teaching classes for ritual craft, and for like almost a year now, I think I've been teaching dream classes. And that was by far the most popular class. Like I had the most students with that class. And there were still, like, I mean, there wasn't even enough time to really talk about it, but it was so nice to give people that support, especially to reframe how you look at nightmares. And we definitely did that in that episode. Actually, yeah, it was two episodes. So again,
Yeah.
there's just so much to talk about with that and how to approach it. But definitely reframing your perspective to nightmares will lessen the intensity of it. And then you have like fewer of them, right? You might have, like, for me, I have a lot of anxious dreams, and I see that and I appreciate those for what they are. And I know that it is, again, like, the guidance, like, hey, you need to pay attention to this, or it's kind of like a heads up before you get to that nightmare point. So if you're
Yep.
not, following the guidance from the anxious dreams, then at some point it's going to turn into a nightmare. And so, but it's really there to support you and to help you move through some sort of rut, or overcome a block or a fear. And yeah, same as you were saying, Alexis, like when I come out of the nightmare now, I don't panic. Like sometimes my body, and this is the thing I want to share with you guys, like sometimes you have to realize that your body in some ways is experiencing stress in nightmares or anxious dreams, or maybe your body is even releasing stress and it will
Hmm.
produce the anxious dreams or maybe the nightmare. And so your body will respond as it's in that situation, right? And what I have really been able to like, I've just been navigating better is like when you're saying you wake up and like you calm yourself, like, really try and separate yourself from the nightmare and really, have it, like, for me, I'm like, you're safe. Like I talk to my body, or I talk to myself too. I'll say either I'm safe, or talking to my body, like, you're safe. Like I'll hold myself, or like hold my heart and just like do some deep breaths, or my heart and my belly, and just to ground myself. And it's like, you're safe, you're here, and I do my best not to run through the dream, because at sometimes I'm fine when I wake up and then I'm running through the dream, and that creates anxiety. And my
Yeah.
body is like, no, because I'm used to waking up and running through the dream. And
Right.
it's happened before where it hasn't even been like a scary dream, but there may have been a scary element. Like it
Hmm.
could have been an anxious dream. And as I'm like, going through what happened and getting curious about it, my body starts to like go into stress, or like, it starts to respond. And so,
Oh yeah.
this is why it's good to have good bedtime rituals, or have some sort of like altar in your bedroom space, or just
Yep.
sleeping with certain herbs or crystals and whatnot, anything to help you feel safe. Like
Yes.
having that symbol there will really, do a lot for you, for your body, for your emotional support, for your safety. Especially if you're experiencing recurring, anxious dreams and nightmares, it's really helpful. So we
Absolutely. And you can
definitely share
pull
about
that
that.
into the dream. Like I've
Yeah,
definitely had dreams before where like my moonstone was in the dream with me.
that's a
And
great.
it's like you said, it's a talisman, it's protection, it's there to help give you what you need and be supported. So, and we even just talked about on our last episode about plant allies, which I
Mm.
also thought was one of my favorites.
Yeah,
Um,
I looked at that too, and I was like, ugh.
because it was so good. It was so
I'm
good.
like,
I'm
which one
telling you guys.
challenged me the most? That's what I went with, because I was like, I love all of these, but which one was like an edge for me? And
Ooh.
I'm like, it was the art. Like that was such an easy point too. I was like, yeah. And it's like, yeah. So we already talked about that, but yeah, I was looking at the plant one too, and I was like, ooh, that one got me really excited, especially what you shared as far as how to, like, different ways you can get creative with plants in your dream space. And yeah, it's just like
I
so
am
many things.
actually going to do what I said I was going to do in the last episode with the
That'll be
plants.
perfect, yes,
I'm going to
for
do that
this
tonight.
season.
I'm going to do that tonight. Like
What?
after we get off, I'm going to do it tonight because I've been wanting to and it's been on my mind. And since we're here talking
Do you
about it,
have like the herbs and stuff that you?
oh yeah, oh yeah.
Oh,
All
nice.
I have to do is put them in like the areas that I want them to be in. I'm
Oh
not trying
my
to give
God.
away too much because if you
Yeah,
guys
go
haven't seen the
listen. That
episode, you
was
should definitely watch the
that
episode.
was last week, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that was last week's episode. Yeah. So, I did want to share. I was planning on sharing the chart of our first live, but it's like, again, we're at the end of the episode. So, the first chat, though, I'm going to just say, was the first live chat episode was dream incubation. And so that was an incredible episode. If you're
That was
unfamiliar with what
fantastic.
dream incubation is, it's basically, you know, asking your dream self, your dreaming self, or your dream, like however you refer to what it is that produces the dreams, whether it's a guide or your inner self or your psyche, so forth. Basically asking a question, or asking for healing or guidance of some kind in reference to, whatever is coming up for you. And we talk about that in many different ways that you can go about doing that. And that was a really strong episode to begin with. So I was really happy about that.
That was such a great episode. And I dream incubated last night. It wasn't
Mm.
crazy. Like, you can do a ritual around it, and I've done them before, but sometimes I'll just go to bed and, like, as I'm falling asleep, I'm like, I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. Um, and I didn't get to tell you about my dream today yet, but I'm definitely going to share it.
You want to share it? Wait till next week, or are you going to
I'm
share
gonna
it?
share it next week for the
Oh,
dark
damn.
moon
Okay.
dream reflection. I'll tell you after this, but I don't want
Oh,
our
okay.
guests
Okay,
to be
cool.
informed yet because it's still a part of the cycle.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that yeah, that's I can't believe we're at a year. And so we are going to segment our years as seasons. So
Yep.
this is not the final episode of season 1. So next week we have our monthly dark moon dream reflection episode, where we share our reflections on how the dream space has been over the past lunar cycle. Which this one's going to be interesting because essentially it was eclipse season. So we would love to hear from you all how your dream space has been. So feel free to leave a comment here. You can leave comments on Spotify. Of course, you can leave them here on YouTube. And if you have something longer that you want to share, feel free to email us. Again, our email address is in the description of this video. I'm going to do my best to remember the main episodes that we mentioned and link those, that being Alchemize Dreams into Art and Nightmares. Maybe I'll throw in the Carl Jung one too. And yeah, so that's what I can think of right now. So
like what
I'm like, wait,
I
what else
feel
do
like
we?
I talked about all of them. I was like, I love this and
Yeah,
I love that. It
I'm
was
thinking the
very
ones we went deep into. Yeah.
it was very good. I
So
should
I'll
have done
try
what
to.
you did though. I should have been like, which one challenged me the most? Instead I was like, let me just figure out which one
Well,
I
you
feel
can
like is
add
the
it like
best.
so. I'm gonna put it in. I'm gonna pin it as a comment on this video. So let me know if you think about something. I can add it. Um, but yeah, so yeah, next week we'll be live. And that'll be the last episode of the season. We're gonna come back with a fresh new look and a new intention that we'll be sharing with all of you. And I'm really excited for this.
I'm buzzing with energy. I'm so excited.
Yay.
Like every single episode, by the end of the chat, I'm like, I could do this for 2 more hours. I can't, but I could essentially. But I'm so excited. I'm so excited for our new things that we're bringing to the podcast, and I'm excited for the year to come. And I just I'm excited. What a
And
fantastic
I
year.
also I love it. I also want to shout out the three people we had as guests. So
Yes.
we had Tim, Dream Traveler, Dream Walker, Dream Traveler. Um, and then we had Jace.
Yep.
And Jace is, yeah, he's awesome. Dream worker, interpreter, decipher is what he said, dream deciphering. He's amazing and he generally is always in the chat. And then shout out to Dr. Deborah. She did, and these were actually like one of our popular episodes was the sex and relationships in reference to dreams.
Everybody wants to learn about sex and
Right. So what
dreams.
happens when your ex shows up into your dream? So that's been a popular one. And she is also one of the fellow Dream Egos experts. Wow. Okay. You can see I'm starting to my
Don't
mind
worry, I had
going
a
into the dream
whole like
space.
candlestick thing fall off of my desk like halfway through the episode and made a whole lot of
Oh
noise.
no.
So you are
Oh, well, we
fine.
didn't hear anything. So,
I
but
hope
yeah,
you
we'll
didn't
let
hear
you know.
anything.
No, I did it. But yeah, so shout out to them. And this season we're gonna have some more guests. We've been collabing with other dream podcasters, dream experts, and so we're definitely gonna invite them to our podcast. And yeah, so we're looking forward to this new season. And it's so perfect that it syncs up with eclipses or
I
just after
know.
the eclipse. Like you can't make this up. So
I mean, I'm so excited for after the eclipse. I have to say this is a challenge.
yes,
This has been
this
a
one's
challenge.
been a doozy. I'm just like, and I'll just say, I think I mentioned this before, but the eclipse is really confrontational for me, and I see that factor of like Pisces for me this year is that part of my chart is activated, and so that area of life is very dominant, and yeah, so that eclipse hit me like a ton of bricks, and I'm just like moving through the rubble right now. I'm like, got a plan, having to adapt and make some maneuvers here, but I'll share that next week. So yeah, it's been a good time though. I'm trying to be positive.
I
But,
look, that's all we can do at this point.
oh my gosh,
And it's gonna be great. It's gonna be
it's
great.
gonna be
It's
great.
fantastic. It's
The
gonna be great.
transformation.
I mean,
The
look at
number
look
55. We're gonna get it
55.
times two by five.
Yes, we
But
are.
all right, so I'm really excited to chat next week and then to share in the fresh new energy. I can't wait.
I'm so
Um,
excited.
so don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on Spotify. And we're going to expand to other, podcast platforms. So that's definitely a goal for season 2. So that'll be awesome.
Yep.
But all righty, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. in
Thank you
season
so much
three.
for being here for the last year too. I
Yes.
mean, it has been such like just infinite gratefulness and appreciation for the support. And thank you, Urania, for being
Thank
here.
you, Alexis, for like initiating this. It was an easy yes. So we were already
It's
doing it, but yeah,
everything that has
making
happened
it
has been
official.
divine.
Yes. Awesome. Well, sweet dreams, everyone. We